The atmosphere of boxing has always thrived on surprises, shocks, and the moments that nobody saw coming. But even by those standards, what happened when Terence "Bud" Crawford sat down for a live interview and, without hesitation, accepted Floyd Mayweather's fight offer has sent ripples across the entire combat sports world. For years, fans speculated about a potential passing of the torch fight between the defensive genius who retired undefeated at 50-0 and the silent assassin who dismantled Errol Spence Jr. and later stunned the boxing universe by defeating Canelo Alvarez. But speculation was just that. Empty chatter, a dream fight to be discussed in barbershops, forums, and late-night podcasts. Yet in one surreal moment, Crawford looked directly at the camera, smiled, and told Floyd that if he wanted the fight, he would take it. It wasn't bluster. It wasn't half-hearted promotion. It was a champion speaking his truth, and the crowd watching live knew history had just been rewritten. The weight of this moment cannot be overstated. Floyd Mayweather, a man who carefully crafted one of the most flawless resumes in boxing history, a man who beat Oscar de la Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, and Shane Mosley, has always insisted that his era was the pinnacle of skill and greatness. Terence Crawford, quiet and unassuming outside the ring, has slowly amassed an argument that he belongs in the same pantheon, if not higher, thanks to his dominance in multiple weight classes and his ability to finish top-tier opponents. When Crawford dismantled Errol Spence Jr. in what many considered a 50-50 fight, the world took notice. When he went up and stunned Canelo Alvarez, a man far bigger, far stronger, and seen as nearly unbeatable at super middleweight, the conversation shifted. People began whispering, maybe, just maybe, Crawford is the true pound-for-pound king, the fighter who Floyd never had to deal with during his era. Floyd has always controlled the narrative, choosing when and where to fight, making sure the business was right, and silencing critics by producing flawless performances. Against Manny Pacquiao in 2015, he proved that timing and discipline can outclass reckless aggression. Against Canelo in 2013, he proved that experience and IQ can neutralize youth and power. But those fights came on Floyd's terms. He was the kingmaker, the boss, the shot caller. That's why the boxing world did a double take when, on his own platform, Mayweather suggested he might be willing to face Crawford in an exhibition, or even a legitimate sanctioned fight, if the fans demanded it and the money was right. Most assumed Crawford would laugh it off, acknowledging Floyd's retired status and choosing to focus on his future. Instead, Crawford flipped the script. His acceptance was sharp, serious, and it carried the undertone of a man who had been waiting to hear his name called by the so-called best ever. The analysts couldn't believe it. Stephen A. Smith, who has covered Floyd's career from its earliest days, went on his show and said bluntly that this was the first time he'd seen Floyd lose control of the conversation. Usually Floyd dictates the terms of discussion, but now, with Crawford's fame acceptance, the pressure is on Mayweather. Roy Jones Jr., never shy about legacy debates, admitted that he's fascinated. He pointed out that Crawford has done something even Floyd didn't do: move up consistently and finish bigger men. Tony Jeffries, the Olympic medalist turned YouTube analyst, added his voice, noting that Crawford's combination of technical skill and mean streak would test even the great Mayweather in ways no one ever has. The online debate went nuclear. Fans were divided between those who believe Floyd is untouchable and would make Crawford look ordinary, and those who think Floyd is finally risking his TBE status by even entertaining this. And make no mistake, legacy is the heartbeat of this story. For Floyd, his 50-0 record is untouchable, a sacred number that no modern fighter can blemish. For Crawford, his dominance across 3 divisions, capped by wins over Spence and Canelo, has already carved out a Hall of Fame legacy. But the comparison is inevitable. Floyd had names like Pacquiao, Canelo, Mosley, De La Hoya, and Hatton on his resume. Crawford has names like Gamboa, Postal, Porter, Spence, and Canelo. The purists argue that Floyd's era was deeper, stacked with bigger stars and more proven legends. But Crawford supporters fire back, arguing that Bud has not only beaten champions but destroyed them, leaving no room for debate. Floyd often coasted to decision wins, Crawford takes risks to finish his opponents. The money factor cannot be ignored either. Floyd Mayweather is synonymous with money in boxing. His brand was built on flashing cash, breaking pay-per-view records, and redefining what a prize fighter could earn. Crawford, by contrast, has often been underpaid relative to his skill and dominance. His win over Spence finally gave him mainstream attention, and the Canelo fight turned him into a superstar. Accepting Floyd's offer isn't just about legacy. It's about finally stepping into the financial stratosphere that Floyd monopolized for decades. It's about Crawford proving that he can command the stage not only as the best fighter, but as the biggest draw. The whispers of a cash grab have already started, and critics are asking whether this is truly about competition or just another Mayweather exhibition circus. But those criticisms fall flat when you look at Crawford's face during that live interview. He wasn't joking. He wasn't there to play games. He saw the chance to silence every critic who's ever said Floyd is untouchable, and he grabbed it. For a man as competitive as Crawford, this is about more than money. It's about being the one to finally test Floyd's legendary defensive wizardry. And deep down, fans know it. The stylistic matchup is one of the most intriguing in boxing history. Floyd is the master of distance, timing, and defensive reads. He takes away his opponent's best weapon, frustrates them, and wins round after round with surgical precision. Crawford, on the other hand, is a switch hitter with an uncanny ability to download data mid-fight and adjust instantly. Against Spence, he allowed the first round to play out like a study session, then dismantled him round by round. Against Canelo, he used angles, speed, and timing to neutralize a much bigger opponent. Fans are salivating at the idea of two of the greatest minds in boxing history playing chess inside the ring. It wouldn't be a brawl. It would be a masterclass in IQ, reflexes, and adjustments. Beyond the XS and OS, there's a cultural aspect here too. Floyd Mayweather defined an entire era of boxing, where fighters became businessmen, where brand management mattered as much as belts. Crawford represents a throwback, a fighter's fighter, a man who doesn't care about the cameras and the bright lights but lives for the violence of competition. When he accepted Floyd's offer, it wasn't to boost his Instagram followers or secure another sponsorship deal. It was to test himself. The juxtaposition of Floyd's flashy persona and Crawford's cold-blooded demeanor makes this story even more powerful. Of course, skeptics wonder whether Floyd would ever truly risk it all against a prime monster like Crawford. Floyd is 48 years old, well past his competitive peak, and his most recent appearances have been exhibitions against MMA fighters and influencers. If he were to face Crawford, it would be the ultimate gamble, lose, and the aura of perfection is shattered forever. Win, and his legend becomes untouchable. But Crawford's acceptance forces Floyd into a corner. If he backs away now, the whispers of ducking will grow louder. If he steps up, he risks his greatest asset, his zero. This has also reignited debates about the greatest of all time. Fans argue endlessly about Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Roberto Duran, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, and now Terence Crawford. Crawford's win over Canelo has already placed him in those conversations. A fight with Mayweather, even if Floyd is older, would amplify his case to new heights. Imagine Crawford defeating Spence, Canelo, and Mayweather all within a short span. That's not just greatness, that's immortality. And Floyd knows it. That's why his offer, perhaps made casually, has now become a line in the sand. The story has taken on a life of its own. Reporters chase every quote from both camps. Promoters salivate at the numbers a fight like this could generate. Fans who swore boxing was dying now find themselves arguing passionately again. Social media trends are dominated by Crawford versus Mayweather memes, debates, and fantasy breakdowns. Former fighters, from Mike Tyson to Lennox Lewis, weigh in with their takes. Tyson, always blunt, suggested that Crawford is mean enough to take Floyd somewhere he's never been. Lewis, more measured, reminded fans that Floyd never took unnecessary risks and would not step into the ring unless he believed he could win. And then there's the looming shadow of David Benavidez, who has been circling Crawford since the Canelo fight. Benavidez is younger, bigger, and the natural next challenge for Crawford. Some critics accuse Crawford of choosing Mayweather as an easier path, a legacy fight that carries less physical danger than battling a giant like Benavidez. But others argue that defeating Mayweather, no matter his age, is worth more historically than any other fight Crawford could take. Benavidez is the future, but Mayweather is forever. Every boxing era has its defining fights. Ali had Frazier. Leonard had Duran. Tyson had Holyfield. Mayweather had Pacquiao. Now Crawford might have Mayweather, in a fight that symbolizes not just two great boxers clashing, but two philosophies colliding. One is the meticulous businessman who always protected his brand. The other is the cold assassin who thrives on risk and destruction. For boxing fans, it is the dream fight that nobody thought would materialize. And yet here we are. As the dust settles from Crawford's acceptance, the ball is firmly in Mayweather's court. Does he step back into the fire and risk his perfect record? Or does he retreat into exhibitions and risk being remembered as the man who dodged the true challenge of the next generation? Crawford has made his position clear. He is ready, willing, and eager to face Floyd Mayweather. And in doing so, he has shifted the entire power dynamic of boxing. For the first time, the Kingmaker finds himself in check. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. The GOAT debate will never be the same. If the fight happens, history will remember it as the moment two eras collided, the moment legacy and pride outweighed money and protection. If it doesn't, history will remember that Crawford called Floyd out in the most direct way possible and Floyd chose to walk away. Either way, Terence Crawford's acceptance of Floyd Mayweather's fight offer has already